We talk about the chapter 15 and 60 of the book To Kill a Mockingbird. The week after Deal arrives, a group of men led by Sheriff Hectek come to Atticus' house in the evening. As a trial is nearing, Tom Robinson is to move to the Macomb jail, and concerns about the possibility of a launch move have arisen. Later, Jam and Scott that Jam tells Scott that Alexander and Atticus have been arguing about the trial, and she nearly accused him of breeding disgrace on the family. The following event, Atticus takes the car into town at about 10 o'clock, and Jam, accompanied by Scott and Dale, sneaks out of the house and follows his father to the town center. From a distance, they see that Atticus is sitting in the front of the Macomb jail reading a newspaper. Jem suggests that they not disturb Atticus and return home. At the moment, four cars arrive into Macomb and park nearly to the jail. A group of men gets out and one demands that Atticus move away from the jailhouse door.
The man asked to Atticus to move along from the jail. He refused, and then Scout went to him from her handspot. Um, she, Atticus realized that James, Scout, and Deal followed him. But and then Atticus told to James that get back to home, but he didn't want. So Scout started to talk with Mr. Cunningham, the father of Walter, about him, about their relationship of friendship. Also, like Mr. Cunningham feel ashamed, and then they leave, and they realize that Mr. Underwood was protecting Atticus if something bad happened. Then Atticus, after leaving, he says to the man that is in the jail that he can sleep alone and with peace.
In the chapter 16 of To Kill a Mockingbird, it says that a lot of people came into Macon because there was to be something in the courthouse, something important. There was a case from Miss Stephanie Crawford to Mr. Dolphus Raymond, which had a land near the riverbank and was an eccentric, wealthy man. And this case involved a black woman and a mulatto children that is from this guy, Mr. Dolphus. Also, there was a lot of people in the near near the court to see the case, but they eat at lunch first, and this is where Scout, Jem, and Dio enter. So they also wanted to enter the court, but people crowded and did not let them in. So Reverend Sikis lets them sit with them in the balcony where black people are supposed to be. And they also mentioned that the case is given by Judge Taylor, which was a white-headed man with a reputation of running his court in an informal way. So he wasn't a very formal judge, and they say that the style is a little bit more formal than the Cunningham style.
Well, before what Jesus said, we are going to talk about the values that we are mainly discussing in the past chapters, and the three main ones that we are mentioning in this chapter are responsibility, tolerance, and respect. Responsibility, because in the chapter mentions that Atticus defends a black man or a Negro that have a trouble with another two guys, and the case mentioned that he doesn't have any compliments in that because he didn't do anything, so that's why he didn't expect to be there. But the guy and his daughter demands him because technically he didn't want to have like sex or sexual relationships with her, and then they want to demand her, and that's why we include the responsibility. because it's in your own fault or in your own decision to do bad or wrong things, and that's what the consequences include this on our responsibility decisions to make them. Tolerance, because in the chapter mentions a lot of different points that you can take as a tolerance value, and a lot of trouble that this value includes. But the main one that I want to expose today is that in the chapter mentions that the guys that are opponents of Atticus wants to take out of his mood and try to be like disgusting with him, and he be like in their own position and try to be focused on what he was doing. So being tolerant with a lot of different points was too important, because when you are defending someone, in that case that are defending a Negro, and there are a lot of racism in that epoch, if you can say that, the tolerance is a main value that you need to be to resolve the case. And respect, because we all know that everyone needs respect, and in that days they don't have it because the racism are in their main florence or in their main habits. And actually the racism is mainly punished, but in that days the respect that they have to another people are to decrease it. And what we learn in this chapter is to respect everyone instead of criticize them or just being like mad with them, instead of knowing or just talking with him and know what they thinks or what they wants to know. And if you respect the people, you will have it, because everything you give, everything you will receive. That's the main phrase that I want to close with this.
Well, in conclusion, we can see that Atticus went to the jail and James, Deal, and Scott went in secret so Atticus couldn't scold them and tell them that they can't go. And they found out that there were people who was going to hurt Atticus, and Scott got out of her place where she was hiding and started to talk with Mr. Cunningham, and the way that she talked with them made him think better about what he was gonna do. And the next day, Atticus makes Scout to do a promise of not touching water. And in the party was Mr. Dumfus, who was seated next to black people, and James said that he thinks that he loves more black people than them. And in the end of the chapter, we can see that the judgment is about going to start.